Welcome to our latest Wandering Walks of Wonder historic walking tour. Today we're headed to Brunswick, Georgia. Brunswick dates back quite a bit. In fact, as early as 1738, the area's first English settler, Mark Carr, a captain in James Oglethorpe's Marine Boat Company, established his 1,000-acre plantation along the Turtle River. In 1771, the Royal Province of Georgia purchased Carr's fields and laid out the town of Brunswick in the grid style, following Oglethorpe's Savannah Plan. Brunswick obtained its name from the Duchy of Brunswick-Lüneburg in Germany, the ancestral home of King George II of Great Britain. In 1789, George Washington proclaimed Brunswick one of the 5 original ports of entry for the colonies. Because of this notion, the city began to prosper, and in 1797, the Georgia General Assembly transferred the county seat of Glynn County from Frederica on St. Simon's Island to Brunswick. Along our tour today, we'll learn a little bit more about Brunswick, including some of the stories of the town, its history, as well as some of the historic buildings like this one we see here, which is the old City Hall building. This building was designed by architect Albert Eichberg and is a great example of Richardsonian Romanesque style with some really cool Queen Anne affinities. As we get up closer, we can take a look at some of the terracotta as well as some of the gargoyles and angels that are in abundance on the building. It was constructed in 1889 at a cost of about $33,000 and underwent a major restoration in 2002. The building houses the municipal court, the police administration offices, and the Downtown Development Authority. Because Brunswick is laid out in a grid pattern when it was originally designated back in the late 1700s, there will be many public squares that we'll see along our walk, similar to those squares that you would see in Savannah, Georgia. One of these squares that we see right up front is Queen Square. This square is one of the original town squares that was laid out in 1771. It is home to the Oglethorpe Memorial, the Downing Memorial, a Liberty Tree, and a sesquipedalian tree. The Liberty Tree was planted in 1906 by the Daughters of the American Republic with soil from 45 states and 4 territories. After Brunswick became the county seat, little development really occurred in the town in the first 30 years. Records showed that Glynn Academy, which we'll walk by here in just a bit, the first public building was built in 1819. It did close, though, 4 years later due to lack of attendance. The school, though, reopened, and in 1840 a new building was erected on Hillsborough Square, the present site of Glynn Academy. In 1826, the Georgia General Assembly granted title to much of the undeveloped town to Urbanus Dart and William R. Davis. Soon after the title was granted, Brunswick had a courthouse, a jail, and about 30 houses and stores. Along with the founder of the Brunswick and Florida Railroad, Thomas Butler King of St. Simon's Island, Dart and Davis formed a company to construct a canal north of the Altamaha River, connecting the natural port with interior plantations. In 1836, the Oglethorpe House Hotel was built, and 2 years later a newspaper was started as well as a bank was opened in town. But the Panic of 1837 caused cotton and timber prices to plummet and languished the progress of the canal as well as the railroad projects. The cotton crash of 1839 only put the city in further jeopardy. Following a period of recession, the Brunswick Altamaha Canal opened in 1854, followed by the railroad in 1856. Brunswick received its second charter in 1856 and was officially incorporated as a city on February 22nd of that year. In 1860, the city had a population of about 468, including a weekly newspaper in town, a bank, as well as a sawmill. During the Civil War, the Confederate States Army burned the St. Simon's Island lighthouse as they left to keep it from falling into Union hands. In Brunswick, wharves, as well as the Oglethorpe House, which would have made an ideal headquarters or hospital for the Union Army, were burned. When the city was ordered to evacuate, most of the citizens fled to nearby Waynesville. The canal and railroad ceased operation and Brunswick was abandoned. After suffering from post-war depression into the 1870s, in 1874, one of the nation's largest lumber mills began operation on St. Simon's Island, leading to the return of economic prosperity. Canals and rivers gave way to rail traffic as the Brunswick and Albany and Macon and Brunswick railroads connected Georgia to the port of Brunswick. Another historic square that we see here right in the downtown area is Jekyll Square. In 1878, poet and native Georgian Sidney Lanier wrote the world-famous poem, The Marshes of Glynn. It was based on the salt marshes that lie in Glynn County as he sought relief from tuberculosis in Brunswick's climate. The Sidney Lanier Bridge, which spans across the marshes, is named in his honor. There is the historical marker overlooking the marshes of Glynn commemorating Lanier in the poem, and a live oak tree near the marker is named the Sidney Lanier Oak. The December 1888 issue of Harper's Weekly predicted that Brunswick by the Sea was destined to become the new winter Newport. Jekyll Island had become a posh, exclusive getaway for some of the era's most influential people. The Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, Pulitzers, and Goodyears escaped to Brunswick and the Golden Isles to hunt, fish, and mingle. People flocked to the breathtaking Oglethorpe Hotel once it opened its doors in 1888. In 1893, though, a yellow fever epidemic compounded the troubles brought by a worldwide depression. Two hurricanes, one in 1893 and one in 1898, and their resulting storm surge flooded the city. However, the city quickly recovered because of the ever-expanding port business for cotton lumber, naval stores, and oysters. As we head into the Mary Ross Waterfront Park, we'll learn a little bit about Brunswick and the activities the town played during both of the World Wars. Wooden and concrete ships designed to repel mines were built in Brunswick for World War I. A large gunpowder and munitions plant was built just to the northeast of town, but it was never completed before the war ended. During World War II, German U-boats threatened the coast of Georgia, Florida, as well as South Carolina. Blimps became a common sight as they patrolled the coastal areas. During the war, blimps for Brunswick's Glencoe Naval Air Station, at the time the largest blimp base in the world, safely escorted about 100,000 ships without a single vessel lost to enemy submarines. A lot of activity occurred along this waterfront area during the World War II, because in World War II, Brunswick boomed as 16,000 workers of the J.A. Jones Construction Company produced 99 Liberty ships and knot ships. These ships were built for the U.S. Maritime Commission to transport material to the European and Pacific theaters during World War II. The first ship that was constructed was the SS James M. Wayne, named after James Moore Wayne, whose keel was laid on July 6, 1942, and the vessel itself was launched in 1943. The last ship to be built during the war was the SS Coastal Ranger that was completed in August of 1945. The first 6 ships took about 330 days or so to complete, but soon production ramped up and most of the remaining ships were built in about 2 months, bringing the average down to about 89 days each to construct a ship. By November 1943, there were roughly about 4 ships being launched per month here in the Brunswick shipyards. Today, Brunswick is still home to a thriving port. In fact, it's the deepest natural port in the area. As the westernmost harbor on the eastern seaboard, as well as the proclaimed ship capital of the world, Brunswick bustles with activity year-round. As we head into the downtown area, we come across the Ritz Theater. This theater was constructed in 1899 as the Grand Opera House. It was converted into a movie theater, refaced with Carrera glass, and renamed the Ritz Theater in the 1930s. The Ritz served the area with both first-run movies and live performances. In the 1980s, after a roof collapse, it was rescued by the city into a performing arts theater. The Ritz has again become a cultural center and a focal point of continuing downtown restoration. Mahoney McGarvey Tradition House is considered to be one of the finest examples of Carpenter Gothic architecture in the entire state of Georgia today. This house was constructed in 1891 from plans drawn by J.A. Wood. Mr. Wood was an architect for the Plant Railroad system and along with Stanford White designed the Oglethorpe Hotel and the Tampa Bay Hotel. The Glynn County Courthouse was built in 1907 on the town's common pasture, which was called Magnolia Square. This building is considered to be one of the most beautiful courthouses in the entire state of Georgia. The grounds feature colorful azaleas, tongue trees, and Chinese pistachios among the live oak trees. The grounds of the courthouse are a favorite site for weddings and receptions. This beautiful building that we see here in front of us, which is the Custom House, is a Georgian revival structure that was originally built by the Post Office Department to house the Brunswick Post Office and Customs House. The building was constructed in 1901. In 1964, the building was transferred to the city of Brunswick and remodeled as the new City Hall. The roof of the portico is a Gustavino tile ceiling system, and if you view the building near sunset, you will see a uniform pattern of glazed bricks sparkling against the unglazed bricks. Temple Beth Tefillah is a historic Jewish synagogue with deep roots in the local community. Founded in 1886, it served as the center for the Jewish community in southeast Georgia. The temple's name, Beth Tefillah, translates to House of Prayer, reflecting its role as a place of worship and cultural significance. The synagogue building was completed in 1890 and is noted for its Romanesque Revival architectural style. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Temple Beth Tefillah served a growing Jewish population in the region, many of whom were immigrants from Eastern Europe. Over the years, the synagogue has continued to function as a center for Jewish religious life while also maintaining its historical significance. We're now headed into Glynn Academy. This is one of the oldest public high schools in the United States and was originally established in 1788. It was chartered by the Georgia General Assembly and served as an educational institution for the area's early settlers. Over the centuries, Glynn Academy has evolved and expanded, becoming a prominent school in the region. The campus blends modern facilities with historic buildings reflecting the school's long history. The old Glynn Academy building, which was constructed in 1840, is still standing and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The school has maintained its reputation for academic excellence while also preserving its rich historical legacy, serving as a landmark of education here in Glynn County. First Baptist Church of Brunswick, Georgia is a historic congregation with a significant role in the religious and community life of the city. Established way back in 1807, it has a long tradition of Christian ministry here in southeast Georgia. The church has grown over the years both in membership and its impact on the local community. The current sanctuary, which was completed in 1899, is a great example of Gothic Revival architecture. This building, along with its various additions, serves as a hub for worship, education, and outreach programs. The church is known for its commitment to community service and offers various ministries and programs aimed at spiritual growth, social support, as well as charitable outreach. The McKinnon houses that we see here are great examples of Queen Anne style homes that were built in 1910. The houses were constructed by L.T. McKinnon and have an unusual gambrel roof line. Magnolia and poplar trees were widely used in the construction of these buildings, which attests to them still standing in their beautiful state today. The First Presbyterian Church of Brunswick is a historic congregation with deep roots in the community. Established in 1830, it has played a vital role in the spiritual and social life of Brunswick for over 2 centuries. The church's history is intertwined with the growth of the city and reflects the Presbyterian tradition of faith, education, and service. The current church building that we see today was completed in 1890 and is a great example of Gothic Revival architecture. With its pointed arches, stained glass windows, and steeple, it makes it a prominent landmark here in downtown Brunswick. Over the years, the congregation has maintained its commitment to worship, Christian education, as well as community outreach. The church's long history, combined with its active presence in the life of Brunswick, ensures that it continues to be a spiritual home for many and a symbol of the city's rich religious heritage. Our final stop on our tour here in Brunswick, Georgia is Hanover Square. Hanover Square is located in the heart of Brunswick and is one of the city's oldest historic public squares. It was part of the original city plan that was laid out in 1771. Hanover Square stands as a testament to this planning tradition and reflects the city's colonial past. The square is surrounded by historic homes and buildings, which adds to its charm and historical significance, but it also serves as a green space for relaxation, community events, and local gatherings. As one of the oldest squares here in Brunswick, Hanover Square contributes to the city's historical landscape and continues to be a symbol of the area's early urban planning efforts. I hope you've enjoyed this Wandering Walks of Wonder tour here in Brunswick, Georgia. If you're a resident of the city, leave a comment on some of the historic places that you find the most interesting. Also, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and we will see you on our next Wandering Walks of Wonder adventure. Take care now. Bye-bye.